Hi there, it's Lady Night, and today I want to talk to you about tarot workbooks, because when I wanted to learn more about my tarot cards, especially all the different decks that I had, I was trying to find some kind of system where I would look at each deck the same way and find out what their differences are, their similarities. And a good way for me to do that are tarot workbooks. And so I have bought a few workbooks that I want to show you today. They have more or a little less activities in them, and I just want to show you the differences and kind of what's out there. And yeah, let's get started. So a very good starting point is this one, what is it? The Psychic Tarot by Nancy Antonucci and Melanie Howard. And I'm just going to read you what it says on the back. So this friendly guidebook features a wealth of creative exercises that are compatible with any deck, plus sample readings, spreads, and compelling first-hand accounts from a seasoned reader and teacher to start on your path to trusting your intuition in reading the cards. So yeah, there are a few exercises in here. There's also a lot of really good information. So this is, I wouldn't call this really a workbook per se, but it is a really good start, especially as a beginner, if you want to learn more about tarot and your intuition. So now I have a few books, and I think I'm going to show you the worst one first. And in last place is this one. It's called Tarot Cards, a Reader's Workbook, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. So I got this off of Amazon for, I believe, 15 euros. And it's very thin. It has, let's see, 112 pages. But, and here's the big but, it is written like this. As you can see, there's a lot of white space, and the writing is very large, and yeah, it's just, I don't know. First of all, the one thing that I like in it is that it has like kind of a history table to give us some dates, like when something happened, like in the 800s, hand-painted playing cards invented in China about the same time as paper began being used for pages instead of long scrolls. So it kind of gives like a history overview of how the cards came to be. And then the thing is, it calls itself a workbook, but there are only 6 worksheets in here. So here's number 1. There are some questions. Number 2 looks pretty much like the first one. There's another one. Number 4, there's something with different journaling prompts. And okay, I was wrong. It's 5 things. And after that, the rest has nothing to do with a workbook at all. So the book could have been a lot smaller, and it's already very thin. So that's why the writing is so big. And I'm sorry, but this, not for me. Not for that price, not in this size. So the next one that I bought, well, I didn't buy them in this order, but the next one I want to show you is, it's called the Intuitive Tarot Workbook, and it is by Gina Spriggs. That's what the book looks like. I got all of these off of Amazon, and it does have worksheets in it, more than the other one. And the first thing that you do in this book is you take a test. And that's pretty cool because it's like, who do you think you are? So and you have different questions, and then you have to rate. Here's my rating system. Yeah, you have to rate each question from 0 to 5, and then write down the number, and then it gives you a way of counting certain numbers together to find out what kind of reader you are. And then it gives you it calls the anatomy of a psychic, and it tells you whether you are a physical intuitive, emotional intuitive, mental intuitive, healing intuitive, spiritual intuitive, visual, prophetic, shamanic, soul or Jungian intuitive, or natural intuitive. And oh, there's also power intuitive. So it divides that into different groups, and I found my thing that I got not quite accurate. Yeah, and after that, once you know that, it goes into the exercises a little more, and then you get worksheets where you can actually write in the book, and that is pretty nice. But 1/3 of the book is just blank space, and that means, sure, I can write in here, but then I can only do this with one deck. And that's why I would always advise, at least that's how I do it, to get an extra notebook and write all the answers in there for one specific deck. If I want to do it with another deck, take another notebook and write the answers in there, so that I don't copy off of the answers that I had previously given for another deck, and so that I can be not influenced by answers I had previously given. So yeah, I think it's a lot of wasted space in that sense if you have more than one tarot deck, and if you want to do this with multiple decks. Otherwise, the things that you can do in here are pretty good. But yeah, like most of this book is just white space, and so therefore for this price, a bit too much. So next on my list, I have 3 books that are on equal places, and that's more about journaling. For example, there's this one book. This is the 2nd edition. The first one looked, I believe, green and white. It had a different cover. And it's the 365 Tarot Activities. It is by Deanna. And this book gives you journal prompts, so you can, for example, this one is about the Minor Arcana court cards, and it says, use as a journal prompt for studying tarot cards or to create a cheat sheet to carry along with a deck. Note where it says write, you can verbally discuss the prompt if in a group setting. So, and then it says, like, in your own words, what is the importance of the court cards? Or write a list of keywords or a key phrase for the court cards as a whole set. So things like that. And it does that for, let's see, where's the table of content? Okay, so we got journal prompts, we've got tarot readings, we've got writing prompts, we have tarot activities, and even tarot challenges in here. Yeah, so this is a very good activity book. Another one that even goes by the name is the Tarot Activity Book by Angie Matzner. And this one is divided into 3 parts, and you have, let's see, what are they called? So you have conversation starters that I personally use as journaling prompts. And then we have writing and journaling, so you get something specific to write about. And then there's an arts and crafts section where you can either take an extra tarot deck and use that to paint on the cards, cut them apart, collage, you know, do all kinds of stuff with the deck. if you don't want to do that, you don't have to buy an extra deck, because I personally, I couldn't cut into a card. I mean, I could cut the borders off, but that's as far as it goes. So I would just make copies of the images or print them out on the internet, especially if you want to do some kind of collage work and you want to incorporate different decks, just print out different images and use them in your artwork. So yeah, this is a really creative way of looking at the tarot, and also you can go through this, like pick out any thing. You don't have to go it like from front to back in a linear fashion. You can just pick whatever activity you want and do that. So this is really cool. And also from the same author is the Journaling the Tarot, a Little Book of Big Questions. And this is a very nice edition because it gives you 2 full pages of questions for each of the 78 cards. And they are really just questions. For example, here we have the 6 of Cups. And for that card, you could ask yourself, or you could journal, how are you sharing your joy with others? Or for the 5 of Swords, what might backfire? What is your backup? You know, just things to think about, and to see additional things in the cards that you may not have thought about before. So this is also, you can just do that for a reading, or pick one question for a reading with a client, like for the outcome card, and leave them with a question to think about, or you can journal about it. So either way, great questions. Now in second place, I have a really large one. That's the Simple Tarot Journal. That is by Angie Green, and she has also a tarot that's called the Simple Tarot. And this book is like, it's the same for every card. It starts with, like, she has from her deck the card right here, and then you have additional spaces for other decks that you want to work on. And then she gives you keywords and reversed keywords. You can put your own keywords in here. And then she also gives a few patterns and correspondences. And then the next 2 pages are questions, and you have space to fill it out. But then once again, you can only really do that with one deck, so I would suggest getting another notebook and writing it in an extra notebook. And then on the 4th page, some more questions, and these pages and the questions are the same for each card. So you look at each card with the same set of questions. And this is actually really good, especially for a beginner. These questions are not too hard, and yeah, but I would write it down in a separate notebook so that I could use it on more than one deck. And now my favorite one is a little one that fits into the handbag. It is the Open-Minded Tarot Workbook by Kate Ross. And this one has 190 pages. And it says here, it can be used as a companion to the Open-Minded Tarot, a practical guide, or it can be used independently along with other books. It does not include interpretations of the cards. Rather, it is an excellent and invaluable tool to provide the aspiring reader with practice exercises that will serve to increase proficiency and understanding of the art of tarot. Deepen your awareness, open your mind. So, and this is also a book where you can write into the book. And here are the questions for, okay, let me go back. This book uses a method that is called reversed something, I forgot the name. Reading backwards, not reversed. Reading backwards. That's the method of this book. And it is also something that we can find in other activity books, for example. But this one does that all the time. And what it is that it gives you a situation. Let me find one. Okay, so the way that this book is structured, I have a hair in my eyelash, I'm sorry. It goes through first all the aces, then the ones, the twos, the threes, and so on. And so you can compare all of these in a set of 4. And then you get, okay, at first she starts with many pages of just keywords. And she gives you different things like dislike, resentment, horror, nervousness, anxiety, obsession, arousal, passion, jealousy, all these kind of things. And you are supposed to pick a card that goes with this keyword. And that way you have a different way. You just look at the cards and then you say, okay, in that card, 3 of Swords. That could be some jealousy or also anxiety. And then you just write down what card fits with each word. And then you go into the minor arcana exercises, and we start with the aces. That was my computer. And so she gives situations. For example, which of these situations remind you of the various aces, and are they dignified or ill-dignified? So right side up or reversed. For example, the querent has decided to go back to school to get her master's degree in education. Which one of the aces would you choose? Or the querent has started a love affair with a married man. Which one of the aces, and right side up or upside down, would you choose for that? And then we get combinations, and she uses different combinations all throughout the book. For example, we have the Ace of Swords, right side up, with the Devil, ill-dignified. Like, what does that combination tell you? And so she first does that for the Aces of Swords, then, or the Ace of Swords, then the Ace of Cups, Ace of Wands, and each of these gets 2 combinations where both cards are right side up, and 2 combinations where one of the cards or both are reversed. So, and that goes on until all the cards are covered, and then we get Queens, Kings, then we get the major arcana exercises, and then she combines always 5 cards to look at and like choose one for example, the querent is heading out of university. She is excited and nervous about the experience. So is that the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor? And upside down or right side up. So yeah, you always have 5 cards to choose from. And then also combinations, for example, the Fool and the Ace of Cups, the High Priestess and the 6 of Cups, or the Tower, you know, and she takes all these 5 cards and combines them in different things. And then she goes into the next, the Hierophant, Lover, Chariot, Strength, and the Hermit, gives you situations, then again combinations. And the only thing that I don't really like about this book, I don't know if you can see that, but here in the back you see the Ace of Cups, and that is on every single page of this workbook. So that's a bit, yeah, I always think about the Ace of Cups. Okay, so once we are through the major arcana, sorry, we get scenarios. And here we have longer scenarios than just the ones that I have been giving you. For example, let's take this one. Sophie has just found out that a friend she confided in has betrayed her by spreading untrue gossip about her. He has also told a lot of people things which she has specifically asked him to keep secret. She cannot understand what would motivate someone who she took to be a friend to be so careless. Now she feels she's being ostracized and judged by people who now know her most personal secrets. So what cards would represent that situation, in what combination, reversed or right side up? And yeah, going through the deck backwards, kind of like you start with the outcome and then you find the cards that go with that. And I think that's a very good way of taking a closer look at the cards, especially as a beginner. If you don't just want to memorize all the meanings of each card and then kind of, you know, okay, it's a tower and it said this and that and that, so if you really want to combine them and learn how to combine cards and what they mean in different combinations, I think this is a really good starting point. And also, one thing I really like about the book, it has an answer key. So the author gives you her answers. They don't necessarily have to match up with your answers because everyone sees different things in the cards, but it gives you kind of a direction of where to look at. And if you're really at a loss, you can look at the answer key and see what the author would have chosen, and then look at your cards and see if you agree with that or if you would have chosen something else instead. So sometimes if you're just spacing, that can really help. So that's why this one, out of all the workbooks that I have showed you, is my favorite. I know there are a few other workbooks out there. I haven't ordered those. I just got these ones. But this one, yeah. And I have started extra notebooks where I'm going through this one, especially with you know, learning about reversals. That is something that I am working on too. And so yeah, combining cards, right side up, reversals, all of that, and having these scenarios, that is a really good practice. So these are my tarot activity books, and yeah, I can write the names of all of the books down in the description box as well, so you can find them, and the names of the authors. And if you have any of these books, please feel free to share your experiences with them. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!